What's up, everybody? This is Jimmy with Trading Decoded. It is January 24th, 2025, and this is the video that we're going to cover the trades that we found that I didn't take today. Basically, all the things, trade setups we were looking for to help other people find some trades. I made a lot of mistakes today. If you want to see exactly what I did, well, go ahead and watch this video right here. And I think you should watch it regardless. It's a longer one, but that's because we have a talk that every trader needs to listen to, in my opinion, because what was talked about in that particular video is something that every trader deals with on a day-to-day basis. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the charts and talk about the trades that we did see that were worth taking. Well, in the beginning, you're not going to see any white arrows here because there was nothing I would have traded. The Qs and SPY were diverging from each other. That is not something that I feel comfortable trading. In fact, the very first trade of the day where they were no longer in divergence from each other, one could argue as soon as we closed above the downtrend line on the Qs, I would say you would want to wait until you got above the first resistance. But that also came too close to a report time. So there's really not a lot here that that would have been comfortable. We had reports at 9:45 this morning, and then we had reports at 10 o'clock this morning. Now, the things that we do have to keep in mind are the same rules that we want to follow on any normal day, which is wait for confluence between Qs, SPY, and ADD, which at this point we didn't have yet. Wait for the Qs to break the uptrend if you're looking for puts. If you're looking for calls, you better wait for ADD, right? So ADD started to roll off to the downside at 9:49. And then the Qs ultimately broke their uptrend. SPY broke their uptrend at 9:53. Qs a few minutes later. So calls came off the table at that point for me on both sides. Does it mean we jump into puts? No, not necessarily. My rule for jumping into puts is very simple. In this case, if we break the uptrend, okay, we want to also take out the most recent support having done so, meaning after we break that support, that trend line, get through the next support first. Okay, now the first time that we closed below that support was right here at 10:01. Coming off of lower highs, some people play that as a breach instead of a close, but that's up to you, okay? That also happened for the first time on the Qs at 10:02. Both charts were coming off of lower highs, which is a higher probability of support failing. ADD at the time was printing red candles and had a nice dump leading up into that point. And all we were looking for was a move down on the Qs from support to the next support, which was right here. Okay. That's all that was. So that's also the same time I got out of my hold and hope trade, which again, you can go watch that in that video that I pointed to earlier. At this time though, we stayed below the pink line. And at this point, I'd also decided I was no longer going to trade. And as the Qs were putting in lower highs, I said, guys, if we could pull back up to that pink line again and SPY is up against resistance, I'd be interested in taking puts again. And Qs, ADD was printing red again at the time. All of that happened, and we were hoping for that move to come down to the pre-market low line. So for my Qs traders, it's a great job. If you got in on SPY, the move wasn't as big, but still a nice payable move. We were in a downtrend on Qs. We were in a downtrend on SPY. Everything looked good, right? Some people held on to the trade because of lower highs. We did make it down to the orange line. Now, the reason there's an exit here is because I said, guys, if we get down to the next support down, which below the orange line I'm referring to, there is a little dingleberry that we put in pre-market that we got to watch out for, which was right here. Okay, so 531.61 is what we were hoping to get to. And I want you to see that at 531.61, we found some buyers. The reason there is an exit here on the, it was right here, by the way, we were 5 cents off of it, a little bit, 4 cents off of it here. As we got down to it, when Qs and SPY both hit a line of support, I like to tell people it's worth taking your profits or at least tightening up your stops. That's no different. So we got there on this candle to the support we were hoping to get to on both charts. That's why there's a circle there. We hold support there. We break the downtrend line on both charts. Puts are now off the table. We chop around a little bit, do maintain a little bit of a downtrend, but again, we had taken out lower highs to our left. We had gotten above the trend line on both charts. It's just not worth it anymore, in my opinion, at that point. Okay. And then at some point we do hold that support or break it. I'm sorry, only to make it down. We were hoping to 530.92. We didn't get there. At that point, ADD started to rotate to the upside pretty aggressively. So the ADD was moving up ever since basically just before 10 o'clock. And it wasn't until we started to have a much cleaner move to the upside that we started to talk about calls. Now, there will be no call entry here because, well, I wasn't really pointing anything out. However, I knew some people were in calls. And as we moved up to the pink line, before we got there, I said, yeah, if you're in calls, it is a slow grind, but it looks like SPY and Qs are going to hit a very strong resistance level at the same time, one of which being the pink line is the stink line. I said, if you're in calls, I would highly recommend that you consider taking profits up there, not only because just look left. Once we fell below the pink line on the Qs, we never got back above it. So that's a strong level of resistance. That was true here too. Also, last time we got below this orange line, we never got back above it on SPY. Also held true. Okay. Now, I said, would I buy puts right here as soon as we touch those lines, even though I'm suggesting you take your profits for calls? Nope. Why, Jimmy? Because of the same rules that we want to see for the same trade we took over here. I said, I wouldn't be looking for puts until we get on the other side of that trend line and we get below support. Well, that happened at 11:54. Okay. Where are we looking to go in that case? Well, the next support down on Qs is right here. You had ADD had already started to roll over. If you look over here. Okay. So ADD, long before this trend broke, ADD started to roll over to the downside. That's always a plus. It's telling you that selling is starting to take place in the market. Okay. We rolled over, we broke support, we rode it down to the next support. Now, some people hold on because, well, they like to hold on. There was really no reason to get out yet. We started to push down. Then we started to aim for this support down here. We got to that support in pretty short order. If you held on to the trade, the next one down is here. Some people held on because they were very much in profit. And then we got down to that support right here to the penny, as a matter of fact, at 12:08. Now, it wouldn't have produced a whole lot more profit than if you would have just taken yourself out at this support here, because again, theta, all the stuff. And what was annoying about this is we saw this way before it happened, and it was close to 12 o'clock, and I don't trade after 12 o'clock, and I was getting off the mic. So the good news is we got people out literally the highest point they could have made on their calls. We also got people into a great put trade. And this all happened before we touched those lines on the upside to begin with. And then we just had this massive sell-off that's continuing to sell off. I took a mental trade here. I was getting ready to prepare this video. And I said to myself at 12:46, I said, man, if we got to pull back to this resistance, I'd be interested in puts here. ADD had already started to sell off pretty aggressively. And I didn't take it, but as you can see, it would have produced, well, one hell of a move to the downside. And you can see all these levels at some point held support, down to support, resistance, got right through that resistance, turned it back into support, right down to the next support, pulled back, treated it as resistance. Lower highs, we're more likely to break support. We hit the futures line, another lower high, expect that support to fail this time. And, well, I just ran out of lines because I don't draw them anymore after I'm gone. But you guys should know how to do that by now. So, yeah, congrats to anybody who's still trading. Qs are almost to yesterday's low of day, which is 528.45. So as we get down there, watch out for it. SPY's low of day from yesterday is much, much lower than the Qs. If we hit that pink line, just tighten up your stops. That's all I'll tell you. Keep an eye on ADD. If it starts to make a V-shaped recovery, consider taking your profits when you can get them. All right. And that's pretty much it, guys. So if you found any useful information in this particular video, please like, share, and subscribe. I'd appreciate it. If you'd like to join our Discord community, well, there's a link down below. We'd love to have you. And if you'd like to see me fall off the wagon and get into a FOMO trade in the open and a Holden Hoper a little bit later, go ahead again and watch that particular video there. And yeah, I hope you all have a fantastic weekend. Till Monday, I love you guys. See you.